gymnasts in the world today. He led his teammates to the team championship in Budapest last fall over the Soviet Union, and he is co-world champion on the pommel horse, having scored a perfect 10 in that competition. Today, he comes to the United States to compete in the men's championship of the American Cup against the likes of Peter Vidmar, the defending champion from the United States, and James Hartung, two-time collegiate all-around champion. It is the American Cup Gymnastic Championship for Men, today on ABC's Wide World of Sports. This is Madison Square Garden in New York City, where we're about to see the men's competition in the American Cup. A group of the world's best gymnasts gathering here in New York City for one of the last international meets before they'll all get together in Los Angeles this summer at the Olympic Games. This is an all-around competition, which means that the winner will be determined by taking the scores of each apparatus and adding them together. Our expert commentator, three-time world champion, Kurt Thomas. How do you assess this field?
Jack, the People's Republic of China sent their very best. They sent Li Ning, and in my opinion, the best gymnast in the world today. He led their team to the World Championship title last year in 1983. There's also Peter Vidmar, the American Cup defending champion, and another American, Jim Hartung. So it should prove to be an exciting competition.
We're sorry to have to announce a last-minute defection by the Soviet Union and the East Germans. The East Germans sent a telegram begging off because of illness, and the Soviet Union sent a telegram saying they wouldn't come because of security reasons. But Li Ning came, and he got off to an auspicious start in the floor exercise.
Tremendous performer. Here he moved right into his scale, showing balance, and then moved out to his dismount, which was a double back. He took it up nice and high, pulled it around, and really fought for that landing. Tremendous performance.
Score 9.9.
Well, here's another look at that dismount, and I'll tell you, this is the most explosive performer on the floor today. He'll have a real battle, though, with Bilo Zerchev from the Soviet Union in the 1984 Olympics. Pulled that double around nice and high.
And after the floor exercise, these were the standings. Li Ning was in first place. There was a three-way tie for second. Peter Vidmar and Jim Hartung of the United States, and Yang Yu Shan of the People's Republic of China. Li Ning now moves to the pommel horse.
Now he'll show you how to swing pommel horse. There's the Magyar spindle on the end in a straight body position. Look how high he is above the pommels. A lot of distance between his hands and his body. Beautiful scissor with a half turn. Drops right down to another reverse scissor. Picks up into the flare. Now watch this combination. Works down on the horse, back up to the pommels, hops down to the end, continues the flare, pushes through a handstand. Beautiful routine. Li Ning. That's the way to swing pommel horse.
I think we just saw a lesson, didn't we? Textbook. Li Ning.
Here's another look at that fantastic performance on the pommel horse. Watch this flare. He keeps his hips up nice and high, really straddles his legs. The crowd's getting into it. Presses down, his shoulders are pushing through right here and up to a handstand. Beautiful routine.
And the mark, 9.95 for Li Ning. A powerful performance. At the pommel horse from the United States, Jim Hartung.
This is Jim's best event. He swings very slow, but very controlled, and he's got an extremely difficult routine. Mounts with a pommel, two pommel loops on the pommel. There's a back more, another pommel loop. Back more downhill, front end, three-quarter. Little extra circle there. No deduction so far. Nice stretch. Just flare work. Fulfilling the scissor requirement here. Not quite as explosive as Li Ning. Doesn't have the amplitude. There's a more. Changing direction. Three-quarter Bailey up to a handstand. Good routine for Jim.
Jim Hartung of the United States.
Well, here's a slow motion look at some of Jim's routine. Now, I said he didn't have the amplitude of Li Ning. He doesn't have the extension that he needs. He doesn't have the power that he needs on this event to look spectacular. He has the difficulty and everything else is there, but he doesn't have the flexibility or the power that he needs.
And his mark, 9.85 for Jim Hartung. That's Peter Vidmar, the defending champion, who's next up. Earlier, Kurt Thomas had a chance to talk with our defending champion.
I'm 28 years old now. I'm still performing, not competing, but I really feel stronger than I've ever felt. You seem to be getting better. What happens after 1984?
Well, for me, now that I'm married, I realize that I have other priorities in my life. And I realize that I'm going to have responsibilities to fulfill, not only as a husband, but hopefully as a father. And unless I can fulfill those responsibilities after the Olympics, I won't continue gymnastics. But I'm hoping to continue with gymnastics maybe through to '88. But that's only if I can fulfill those responsibilities, and that means if I can support myself and my family. So it's basically a financial burden, and I think that times are changing now where athletes have a better chance to make some money off of their sport, not because they're greedy, but because it's something that needs to be done.
It's a necessity.
If we're going to be able to be competitive with the rest of the world, the sports where we are consistently staying up there with the rest of the world are the sports that still allow the athletes to make money: track and field, alpine skiing. And we need to be able to have those advantages. And I think they're coming. I think there's some good people behind it that are going to help us, and I hope that that comes about. And because I love gymnastics. I do gymnastics because I love it, and so I'd love to keep on doing it. But the only way I can do that is if I can support my family.
And now, here he is.
Now, this is an event that could make or break Peter. He's got a strong routine, but he's got to get through it. There's some Magyar spindle Durhams on the end. Nice stretched body. Doing some immediate work on the pommels. Push right to a handstand. Scissors requirement here. Front scissors. Needs to get through. Just get off the thing. There you go. Reverse travel on the pommels. And up through a handstand.
Peter Vidmar, and a fine performance on the pommel horse, being congratulated by Jim Hartung.
Well, he's really got the difficulty here. Look, he does immediate work on the pommel, travels behind his back, up to the pommel again. Now he'll break into his flare and work through that handstand position and come off with really no deduction in this routine.
No deduction is absolutely right. A perfect 10 for Peter Vidmar. And the standings now. Number 1, Li Ning in first place. But Peter Vidmar has moved into second place alone. Jim Hartung is in third place. We'll be back for more men's gymnastics at the American Cup on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Back at the men's championship of the American Cup Gymnastics. The rings and ball competition are over, and the standings remain the same. Li Ning of China first, and the Americans second and third. This is Li Ning at the parallel bars.
No mistakes so far. Half turn to a handstand. Now he's got a Diamondov to 1 bar. 1 1/4 all the way around. Very nicely done. You got to be careful on this event. It's a V press. Oh, there's another 10th. And his double pike. 1 little step. Say 2 tenths off the whole routine.
Peter Vidmar, a very nice performance in the parallel bar.
Here's a close-up of his hands, pulling his feet through his hands. Got to be very careful here. Takes a little 10th there where he drops his legs, but kept his composure and moved out through to his dismount. Now he changed his dismount from a double tuck to a double pike. Increased the difficulty, but it's harder to land. He takes a step forward here, but a fine performance for Peter Vidmar.
Fine indeed, a 9.8 for Peter Vidmar, and that puts him in first place as the standings have changed. Vidmar in first place, Jim Hartung second, and Li Ning third. We'll be back for the final apparatus, the high bar. Now Li Ning, a critical point in this competition. He is in third place now as he approaches the high bar.
He had a little bit of a problem on the parallel bars, but this is an event where he can really score. Got a triple back dismount. There's a stem to a handstand, immediate stalder. Comes some 1-arm work. 1-arm giant. Here's his release move, reverse hecht. No problem. Cow hop stalder. And another release move.
Oh.
And there he goes. He's done that before, Jack. He fell in the World Championships on this event.
Let's take another look.
Well, he's looking at his grips. I wonder if that was the problem. Now let's have a slow motion look. Here's the stalder preparing for that hecht vault. It's a good arch here. No problem over the bar, but when he grabs, it gets on top of his dowel in his grip, and I think that's the problem.
The battle for first place now will be between Vidmar and Hartung, the 2 Americans.
Well, they've got a hit too. This is an event that can throw you off. He was shaking his head earlier, and I don't know if he's a little mixed up or what the problem is. Maybe he's just frustrated with himself. Comes his dismount. Probably play it safe. Well, triple back. No save. Nice landing. That's tough break for Li Ning. At least he's still got a smile.
And a great hand from the crowd at Madison Square Garden for Li Ning.
Well, here's another look at that dismount from Li Ning. Made simple. He does a triple back with ease. And I tell you, you'll see this guy, despite the problems he had here, you will see him in shape in LA, and he's going to be tough to beat. Pulls it up nice and high, knows right where he's at, opens up, and just nails the landing. What a performance.
And the mark, 9.40 for Li Ning, and that could jeopardize his chances of finishing third.
James Hartung.